Hi everyone, my name's Amy Stoner and I work as Compliance and Raw Materials Manager for a food manufacturing company where we make sandwiches, salads, ready meals and many other branded products for all the major retailers across the UK. Fresh produce supply chains are facing an increasing number of challenges impacting UK produce security. Remember in 2023 in the UK when there were fruit and vegetable shortages across all the major retailers? Well, this also affected food manufacturers, resulting in product recipes having to be amended, often at short notice, to maintain supply. These issues are becoming more frequent and impactful as the challenges to the supply chain increase. It is this reason I wanted to undertake my Nuffield scholarship looking into resilient fresh produce supply chains. I travelled around the world to countries in South America, Europe, Asia, Africa and around the UK, speaking to growers, food manufacturers, retailers, policy and industry experts. So now I want to tell you about my findings and recommendations from my Nuffield travels. When I went around the world, I wanted to find out how everyone defines resilience, as it currently feels like a buzzword that everyone is using. Interestingly, 66% of stakeholders said resilience is the ability to adapt and be flexible. But what I found is this means different things for different businesses across the supply chain. If you're a grower, for example, they are adapting by spreading the risk with where they're planting and adopting regen farming practices, like G's Fresh in the UK. Whereas for retailers, resilience means availability and achieving a 98.5% service level. One industry expert said resilience can be defined in 3 ways. 1, no change, business as usual. 2, bounce about breaking, survival and learning from experience. And 3, business reimagined, transformation. In an ideal world, businesses should look back on supply chain challenges, even if they did not impact their business. Therefore, my first recommendation is businesses should strive to be business reimagined, investing in readiness and ensuring both efficiency and long-term resilience at every stage of the supply chain. The challenges. There is no denying that climate change is an issue, and every single person I spoke to on my Nuffield travels mentioned this. I arrived in the Murcia region of Spain a week after the Valencia floods in November 24. One grower had experienced 35 mils of rain in one field overnight, which is a lot considering they would typically get 30 mils of rain in the whole month of November. On a trip to Senegal, one grower had said they had experienced temperatures of greater than 48 degrees Celsius, which they'd never seen before. Other challenges impacting the fresh produce supply chains include logistical and geopolitical issues, economic and labour pressures, and the changing consumer demands, which I have detailed in my Nuffield report. But it's evident that the biggest issue is the unpredictability, not knowing what challenge will hit the supply chain next. Therefore, my second recommendation is all stakeholders within the supply chain need to continuously adapt to the ever-changing world, which many of the businesses I visited on my travels had started to do. I've taken my learnings from my discussions with stakeholders around the world on what they believe needs to change and how we can make an influence change. And I have built these into a 4-step approach. But first, before adopting this approach, we need to change our mindset with both sustainability and resilience in mind. We need to be more proactive, not reactive as we currently are. So I have built my learnings into a 4-step approach, which can be adopted by all stakeholders in the supply chain. Step 1, we need to introduce a resilience risk assessment, which is built on factual data from supply challenges and customer feedback. This will allow businesses to prioritise risk based on their unique needs and challenges. An important aspect of this risk assessment should be contingency planning, but not just having contingency of different suppliers, also flexibility of different product types. In Chile, I visited a sandwich and salads manufacturing company. They typically sell mixed salads with different varieties of lettuce in, and had contingency of lettuce types. So if there was ever a shortage of supply, or it was not the right season for a certain variety, it did not matter. Therefore, could we look at mixed lettuce varieties and contingency of different lettuce types, rather than just relying on a few? Step 2, action. Now this will differ for every stakeholder at every stage in the supply chain, but for food manufacturers, some examples are collaboration, focusing on projects through our experts, and working closely with our suppliers and their growers, like I saw in the Netherlands. Then dynamic risk assessments. Produce is not always perfect, and with the increasing shocks and challenges in the supply chain, we should consider how we can open specs, not narrow them. moving to dynamic specifications that adapt to the crop. Even discussions with the UK retailers suggesting opening specifications would be beneficial to ensure supply. Step 3, transformation. As consumers continue to be influenced by media and retailer messaging, their demand will support change for product and packaging development changes throughout the supply chain. And step 4, future planning. It's vital resilience plans are continuously monitored and adapted, depending on the emerging risks and insights. Adopting this 4-step approach through small incremental changes is my final recommendation for a more resilient fresh produce supply chain in the UK. Thank you to the Food Chain Scholarship for sponsoring my Nuffield Family Scholarship, and for the many people and businesses I visited around the world. Thank you.